Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me here. Actually, this presentation is a little bit more frustrating than the actual conference because there are much more of you listening to me. So my topic was the effects of cartoons and pop culture on foreign language learning. And what I really wanted to know during my research is that how did these lead to this actually? So what I found out is when I started thinking about choosing interpreting as a career, I found out that my motivation can be traced back to actually Cartoon Network. And what I focused on my research. So mainly I choose the group of people born in the 80s and 90s because I think that these generations are really close to me in age. And also I wanted to know that how people whose mother tongue is Hungarian feel about foreign language cartoons, because as most of us know, back in the 90s, Cartoon Network was actually in English in Hungary, and it was just translated later on in the year 2000 or so. So I also wanted to know whether age does matter in foreign language learning from cartoons. And also I would love to know that whether other materials which can be linked to pop culture play also a significant role in making foreign language learning a bit easier. So, my first question, mainly for myself as well, was why do cartoons qualify as suitable language learning tools? A lot of linguists argue that foreign language cartoons are not really good for foreign language. I myself doubt that. Mainly what a good language learning material needs is a good context, which we can find in cartoons. They have really good visual representation, so even one who does not really know that foreign language can get a glimpse of what is actually going on screen. And also a lot of linguists say that good language tools need a lot of repetition. Well, we can find a lot of repetition in cartoons as well. And what some linguists also argue is that cartoons lack modified input. What I mean under modified input is that certain situational tools, for example, if someone would like to study the days of the week, there are certain tools for learning that. And what we can find in cartoons is that there are really good panels which are repetitive and through which we can learn simple words and expressions as well. And of course we find quite a lot of non-linguistic information in cartoons as well. When I got a bit older, when I started my university studies, I found out that I've moved on and watched quite a lot of popular television series. But how do popular television series help also for language learning? Back in the time, the most popular show was How I Met Your Mother. I guess most of you are familiar with these series. And what I did is watch How I Met Your Mother day and night in English without any subtitles. And what differentiates these popular television series from cartoons is that they are mainly meant for a young adult audience. So there are much more complex grammatical structures, and also accents play a role in them. So while as in cartoons, there is no significant role for accents, here They can be the basis of certain puns, jokes, and so on. And what I found out when I was watching these series is that I was doing unconscious interpreting exercises. While I was watching them, I was translating what I heard into Hungarian for myself, sometimes out loud. So it was just later on when I started my interpreting studies that I learned that this is actually one of the basic interpreting exercises. My other aspect was comic books, which also serve as really good language learning tools because they give very clear visual representations, and also we can see the context in them. And they are easily digestible because we find short segments of words, sometimes in word bubbles as well. And I don't know whether you can see this comic strip here, and pun intended. So basically the dogs ask the other dog to be his interpreter in a rendezvous, and the lady who the dog is dating says, "I'll take a large regular," and the interpreter says that she wants a cabin regular size in a coffee shop. What really happens here is that she has a Boston accent, and what she's really saying is that she's inquiring a large regular coffee. So there's a small pun here which may be hard to interpret for my colleagues in the booth, but I hope they manage. So what I found out when reading comic books is that I was also translating what I read here, and just later, also during my interpreting studies, I found out that I was actually doing on-site translation practices. And my last focus was video games, because I do think that foreign language video games can be a great tool for language learning as well, because they are really interactive, they are audio-visual, and I would like to differentiate between two groups. One are mainly educational, and the others are designed for the sake of entertainment. So we can find a lot of language learning, digital materials, games, and so on. But what I realized when I was playing these games when I was young, around 7 or 8 years old, I didn't know what we were reading with my friend. Well, for example, browsing through the main menu of a game, and after pressing the certain titles like setup, did we learn that setup actually means beállítások, for example, in Hungarian. So I found it a really great help through my language studies that I was able to learn a lot of new expressions through video games, actually. And just a little glimpse of the results of my research. Let's see some figures. So I was curious how cartoons played a role in other people's lives in foreign language learning. I asked about 90 people, and 70% of them were born in the 90s, meaning altogether 63 people. And I was curious when was the first time they encountered foreign language cartoons. 27 people said that they met foreign language cartoons between the age of 0 and 6, and 52 between the age of 6 to 14, and only 11 people said that they were above 14 when they first met foreign language cartoons. My next question was which language these cartoons were in, and most of the people watched these cartoons in English. 50 people watched them in German, and also 5 people said that they watched Italian language cartoons when they were young. And I mainly focused on these languages because, as far as I remembered, you could find foreign language cartoons on television through Cartoon Network, of course, and also MTV, the music television, and also you could get some German and also Italian language cartoons on Rai Uno, or for example OF, and so on. And most of the people said that they learn new expressions from these cartoons, like I myself. My next focus was in comics. It turned out that much less people read comics than watch cartoons in a foreign language. The most dominant language for these comics were English and also Japanese. 5 people said that they read actually Japanese comics when they were young, which was really interesting for me. And my last focus was on video games. It turned out that much more people play video games in a foreign language than those who read comics. And the most dominant language for these video games were English. 78 people said that they played English video games. But also 4 people answered that they were able to play German language video games, which I guess came from a foreign country. Like I had a friend when I was young who got some Nintendo games from Germany, Pokemon and so on. These were all in German. So I guess this was the case during my survey as well. And also 2 people answered that they were able to play Japanese video games. So I also focused on the ages of the first encounter. And what my conclusion is that the number of similar cases, so the number of people who first met foreign language in the form of cartoons, comic books, or some pop culture related materials were much more than I thought. And is that cartoons, comics, video games, and other materials really do aid language learning, and I think they should be much more used in education altogether. Thank you very much for your attention.